Yo, what's going on? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It means it's time for another live stream. Today is Thursday, August 6th, 2026. It is humid, guys. Temperatures are not so bad. When you wake up in the morning and you look at your phone, you're like, oh, today's going to be a really nice, mild day. But then you get out there and you run for a minute and all of a sudden you are soaked in sweat. So it has been tough. I didn't put away the ice bandanas, but I kind of stopped automatically reaching for them. But I think I might need to do that as we close out the rest of this summer. Let me know how it is where you guys are. Today, I have a pair of shoes that has come. I don't know if it was on embargo, but it's definitely off embargo if there was an embargo right now. So I want to show you those. And then I have two more flavors of this energy drink that has caffeine and L-theanine in it that I really liked. The other two flavors I tried last time, these two flavors I think I'm going to not like at all. But that's why I saved them for later. But we'll try those. And then don't let me forget, we got to talk about these Hydro Pack things that I talked about. All right, so we got a lot of stuff to go over today. But first, let's had everyone listening on the audio-only version on the podcast. I hope for you that you've got number one, a smoke and wildfire smoke-free run. And two, that it's nice and balmy and not humid and even a little overcast. Wouldn't that be great? I hope that's what you're getting right now. And for everyone else watching this later but not live, welcome to the number one drive time radio show for runners. And a great place to escape the, what is it called? How did Rabbi Benjamin David? Rabbi Benjamin David called it, taking a break from the epic mess of our world. This is a great place for that. I mean, sometimes we get into that too. But it's a nice place to kind of like, we can not have to worry about that, at least for a little bit, and recharge. That's what I'm hoping. All right, let's see who else we have here besides Rabbi Benjamin David. Mark says, it's the two seasons of the Midwest, humidity and wind chill. Yeah, where was I running? I was running with my daughter. Was I running with my daughter? Or maybe we were running in Iowa. It's probably when I was running in Iowa, but I was feeling corn sweat. So the corn is sweating. The corn is super tall right now. It's taller than me, most of the corn, both in the corn that I saw in Iowa and the corn that's in my neighborhood here in Crystal Lake. There's corn fields here too. By the way, so at my younger daughter's school, the school property is adjacent to some fields. I think on the one side they're planting beans. The other side's they're planting some corn. Anyway, they bought some of the farmland so they could expand into a second parking lot because the drop-off situation is crazy in the mornings, and so they needed to do something else. And so they bought all this other adjacent land. There's still like a sliver of it that is cornfield. There's more cornfield on the far other side of it. But there's this one little like island of corn that still got planted this year. And right now they're doing all this construction. And some of the corn is so tall that I think it's creating a visibility hazard for people as they're leaving the school from drop off and pickup. And right now my younger daughter's in like basketball day camp and band camp has started. And so like there's people coming in and out of that school all the time right now. And today they just had a little backhoe thing. Is that the right word for it? The little one that looks like a tiny mini bulldozer. That one that has like one seat for one person and it's sitting in a cage. That thing had a giant mower attachment on it, and they mowed down like 4 rows of corn. And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, is that your corn? I think the person who planted that corn is gonna be pissed off when they see that you mowed down their corn. I feel like they could have at least like picked it out, I don't know what you would do with it. Give it to an animal of some sort. There's a lot of horses in the neighborhood, it seems. So maybe give it to the horses. Can they eat it like that? Or do they need to be dried first? I don't know. But that was the news for me today. Yeah. All right. Tim Lofton says, I got the East Peak ice bandana and used it for the first time last Saturday here in Houston. Loved it. Completely changed how my longer runs go at this time of year. Thanks for the reco. Isn't it amazing? I mean, here's the thing. I didn't come up with it. Other people have been using it for a long time. Trail runners have been telling us for forever, us roadies, that, we should use, like, you guys are just not prepared. What do you mean you guys canceled the race because it was hot? You guys are just preparing wrong, And they say, like, ice bandanas, just bring ice. And they were right. I mean, I think if there's like a 30,000 person race, you can't bring enough ice on short notice for 30,000 people. But point taken is that like the ice bandana makes such a huge difference. Now, I had a workout today, and I had to cut the workout a little bit short for a variety of reasons. One of which was the humidity. And I think that like if I'm doing threshold repeats, I'm still not sure I want to run in the East Peak ice bandana. I have a side note to that too. But number one, I just don't think I want to have that ice bandana like jostling around when I'm trying to run fast, you know? But I think today might have been a good day for the Omius head strip. I have been using it a little bit for workouts when it's super hot. And like I just sweat so much. You know, I know you're supposed to get it wet often, but I think I sweat so much that I feel like just with my sweat I could keep it cooled. But yeah, I need to make sure like for a while I was like, I think I'm heat acclimated, guys. I think I finally did it this year. And then today I was like, no, I didn't do it. Or the heat acclimation only goes so far. It's still humid and hard to run in. Run with Britter says the air quality in the valley is bad. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully you can run safely outside soon. And Daryl Bickford. Daryl, what's going on? He said, finally made it to a live stream. Haven't been able to run last few weeks. Hip issues or something. Hopefully I'll be ready for Sydney. Well, I hope so, because that's a tough course. It's pretty hilly. But I found the hills to be more manageable in Sydney than I did for like New York, for example. So like it's a hillier course, numbers wise, like in terms of pure feet elevation gain, but it carries it well, you know. And Daryl, I mean, you got to get ready for school soon, right? So are you going to have to miss some school to go to Sydney to run Sydney? I don't know. Soy Runs is going to try homemade gels for this weekend for the first time, just mixing maple syrup with some salt and lemon or ginger. I feel like if someone put ginger in my maple syrup, that'd be like giving me like smelling salts. That I just feel like I'm very sensitive to ginger in anything. It drives me crazy. I don't like ginger. When I get like, cause every time the only time I ever like notice ginger is when it's in something and I get just like a big chunk of it somehow. And that's just kind of like, that's like smelling salts. It's like, whoa, what happened? Why is this happening to me? You know? But good luck with the maple syrup and ginger. Yeah, this weekend I think I'm going to work with. I think I'm going to try using the super high carb, the mango, for my long run this weekend. I'm going to make it. See, I'm debating whether or not to put it in the little reusable. I think I should probably put some in the reusable gel flasks and do it that way. Maybe, I don't know, because how many? This is. I mean, it's 500 grams. You know, 500 grams, 50 grams. I was looking at the sodium numbers and then saw the 200. Anyway, 50 grams of carbs and 200 milligrams of sodium. So like, it's not super crazy in terms of, I thought it was going to be more than that, but I think I'll try this and just drink it as a regular fluid. Cause I feel like if I double up, but then I kind of do I want more than 200 milligrams of sodium per bottle? I don't know. I'll test it out. I just think I sweat so much, that it's, I don't know. I've been not really drinking electrolyte drinks anymore. Like I never got into Element, but like any of the other ones, you know, I drank some of the Scratch ones for a while, but I was like, I don't know if this is doing anything for me. I don't know if I need this. But this summer, I'm just sweating so much. So maybe that's what I need. Maybe I need more salt is what I'm saying. All right. Cosmopilot Michael says, I think there's an untapped market for Corn Sweat Ultra. I think that would just be unsafe for people to run in. I would like to see people that like run. I don't know. Maybe I need to message Jeff Pelletier, because I could be like, dude, you've run everywhere. Maybe Flores could chime in. But has Flores experienced corn sweat? Has Jeff Pelletier experienced corn sweat? Maybe they could tell me. Because they've been at like Badwater, you know what I mean? They've seen the hottest races. But have they run through a cornfield in Iowa before? You know, how does that compare? All right. Daryl says that the teaching starts next week and he will miss a few days. Smiley face to go to Sydney. That's cool. Are you going to do you talk to your kids about it? You know, your students and stuff? Are they into it? Do they care? Or do they like whatever, Mr. B? I can't tell with kids, you know. Martha says, you know, if you eat enough salty foods, you probably don't need those electrolyte supplements. Yeah, that's what I always think too, because I'm like, I eat a not very thoughtful American diet. I mean, I guess I don't eat red meat, and I don't really eat too much fast food anymore. This marathon training block, guys, I normally don't like to talk about like restricting food or dieting or weight loss, that kind of stuff, because I think it gets into dangerous territory real quick that I'm not equipped to navigate very well. But unfortunately, I have noticed a difference. And maybe it's some of the other stuff that I've been doing too. But I have not eaten Costco pizza a single time during this training block. And unfortunately, I think it makes a difference. I mean, calories are calories. But maybe at 46, my age, 46 years old, maybe calories aren't calories. Maybe I can't get the furnace to burn hot enough to handle multiple trips to Costco for pizza a week anymore. You know? Yeah. All right. James McCurdy's here. What's going on, James? How are things going in Flagstaff? Is Flagstaff super crowded right now? I feel like with I see that Diodora is doing stuff. This is their second or third summer doing stuff in Flagstaff. I feel like there's so many more pro athletes going there. I think there's so many more like just collegiate athletes, and other just running enthusiasts just spending their summers in Flagstaff. I feel like, but I mean, like Flagstaff's used to that kind of influx of people, right? Is it crazy down there, or how does it go? Costco Final Micah says, should I switch to the Costco hot dogs? I mean, there is the nitrate factor, right, for the Costco hot dogs. But, I have been, and here's the thing. It wasn't like, I need to diet if I want to run fast again. It wasn't that. Just I've been busier, and so I haven't had time for the Costco pizza. Now, I know it doesn't take a lot of time, but I feel like it adds time. And so I'm like, I went to the Costco, I did the shopping, I got to get out of there, So like I'm just trying to get out, Yeah. James says, summer is always busy in Flagstaff. It's great here, and we have monsoon. You guys have monsoons? I didn't know that. He said, but we train on the off days. All right. Adam wants to know if Flagstaff's super smoky. He saw that Phoenix had an AQI of 400. 400 is crazy. Yeah. I hope it's okay, air quality wise. Megan says, calories are calories, but cheese seems to be extra. Cheese seems to cheese extra hard in your 40s. Is that true? Is that what it is? Is that why I'm feeling better? Here's the other thing. My eating habits are atrocious too. In the winter, because it's cold, I like to eat hot. Like really like hot foods, not spicy. I also like spicy foods, but like I like to eat foods that are temperature hot. And so I eat a lot of ramen noodles in the winter as well. And then I throw a bunch of tofu and extra rice in there. So it's extra carby, extra protein, and then it's also super salty. So I feel like I haven't done that as well during this training block. I've just been like, maybe I should have a tuna fish sandwich or like a salmon bowl. My daughter loves the Costco salmon. My daughter likes salmon when I bake it for her, and I like buying it at Costco. And so we have a lot of salmon bowls at our house because that's easy. And so I've been eating more like a normal person, I guess, and less like a college student anymore. So I've been, I guess, trying. James says the air quality's not too bad in Flagstaff, but we did have fires a little while ago. All right. Okay. Well, I'm glad it's okay now. All right. James says, all right, they do Tuesday speed, Thursday moderate long, and Saturday speed / marathon speed. It's a lot of sessions. I have been, so I've tinkered around, and this isn't necessarily for James, but since we're talking about like the weekly schedule, I have, for a while I was on a 9-day schedule where I was like, I don't have a regular job. I don't got to go to an office. I can just do a long run like every 9th day, and then do a big threshold day every third day. So like 1, 2, 3, third day threshold, 4, 5, 6 threshold again because I like threshold, and then 7, 8, 9, and that's the long run. But then I found that I'm not on a weekly schedule, but my kids definitely are, and my wife is. And so I switched back to a 7-day schedule because I felt like the long runs were suffering because of my life schedule. And so I moved it to a 7-day schedule, and I can't figure out how many workouts to get in. This week I did a threshold session Tuesday, and I plan on a long run on Saturday. And I tried to do a threshold session today, so only one day in between. It's like Tuesday threshold, one day easy, Thursday threshold. Yeah, it was super humid, and I ran in a shoe I didn't love. I ran in the Kipstorm Tempo, and I just don't think I get along with that shoe. It's reminding me more and more of the Brooks Hyperion Max 4. And so I kind of ended up like bagging the workout after a while. I was like, this is not doing me much good, and I want to be fresher for the long run on Saturday. And I think at 46, maybe that's too many workouts, too many sessions in one week. But having one like on, what if I do like a workout Wednesday and then a long run Saturday with some speed, that feels a little, I guess, light. I don't know, but the other days is not like I'm sitting around. So I've been playing around with it, see how I feel. James says that they avoid the typical schedule, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, and it works really well for us. And James says, I'd not touch on threshold twice a week, hit the system, move on, attack that system of energy after 7 to 10 days. Okay. I mean, maybe that's why I'm feeling so tired all the time. Well, I will take that under advisement for sure. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you. Yeah, Adam says, weekly schedules can be 14 or 21 days, 2 long runs over 3 weeks. I do kind of like that. I did like the fact that like when I had a 9-day schedule, I wasn't doing a long run every Saturday, which kind of feels like a lot, but I don't know. I'm still figuring out. I don't know. It feels kind of like, now that I'm like coming to terms that I'm like, okay, I'm closer to being an older athlete than I am being a younger athlete. I'm not an older athlete, but I'm closer to that than anything else, I guess. And it kind of feels like I'm rediscovering my body, and James says, well said, Adam, to that. Yeah, I think I need to just I'm still refiguring out my new self, I guess. But that's kind of like, I feel like that's the fun part about it for me. I kind of like the tinkering part. It didn't feel so great when I was like walking on the side of the road today, drenched in sweat and regretting decisions. That wasn't great. But the overall process, I think, has been, fun. All right, let's get to the Hydro Pack thing first before I forget, because I meant to talk about this last week. So I went to, my niece got married last weekend, and we went to Iowa to my in-laws. And, they have these packs. They're made out of kind of like the same material that the handhelds are made out of. It's a little bit thinner. And there's like a measuring thing on the back here. And you can put in your powders. So that way then you don't have to bring the entire bag if you've got like a 3-pound bag of scratch. And you also don't have to dole out little like dime bags. You know what I mean? So especially if you're flying, seems a little bit less sketchy. And the idea is that then they also have this little collapsible funnel that is threaded, and it's made out of silicone, it feels like, and it threads onto your handheld, so you could just dump the stuff in. And they even give you this little scoop that you could change the size of the scoop, depending on how much you want to dole out. And that's it. It's supposed to be like more reusable, less plastic, buy everything in bulk, dole things out, and save on individually wrapped packaging. Love the idea. Love the concept. I'm in. None of this stuff worked for me. I did not like it at all. So I had put 4 scoops of scratch into this thing, thinking that like I wanted 3 for my long run and then 1 for another day. I forget which day. I think Friday. 1 bottle for Friday and 3 for Saturday. And I go to fill up my bottles, and I'm trying to pour it back out. I can't get it back out of here in a way that is like easily measurable. Like it was, so I was trying to pour this into the scooper. So I'm trying to pour it from this bag into the scooper, and it's just hard to get it to pour well, you know? And I guess I could have just poured it directly into the funnel, but I also didn't want to be like, well, 1 bottle is a double dose and the next bottle is going to be light. So I was trying to get it to be somewhat precise, and I just had a hard time dealing with any of this stuff. So I just ended up kind of pouring this, like shoving the top of the bag into the handheld, and then just kind of like tipping it out into pouring it and eyeballing it, which I feel like if you're the kind of person that wants a Hydro Pack bag for your powdered drink that has measurement labels along the side of the bag, you're probably not a big fan of eyeballing things. So I didn't love this experience. I love the concept, but in practice, like none of this stuff worked well for me, except for the fact that it did transport the powders fine, but just getting it from the powders into my bottles when I got there was not great. So I didn't love it. Yeah, Run with Bird says, it's less waste. I love that. I do love that. So I hope they keep working on the product, but Gen 1, not my favorite. Andrew in Indianapolis says, have you tapped that wine box of scratch fuel? I did. I used it for like a week. Right around when I showed it to you guys. And originally I was going to, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be showing that to you guys or talking about it, to be honest, because there's been some delay. I don't know if delay is the right word, but they keep changing the date on when they want me to make content about that. Presumably they'll send me another one when they need me to actually make content of it. But like I was supposed to do something with them over the summer about it, and I think that's why they sent it when they did. And now that's getting moved to a different quarter or something. And so, yeah, I like it. It is in between Martin and a Science and Sport in terms of viscosity, but it's closer to a Science and Sport. It didn't feel super sticky. So it just felt like kind of like I don't know. I feel like the high carb, if I just put a little bit less water in it and really make sure it all gets dissolved, will probably be pretty similar to that, but I'll let you guys know. But it tasted at a very sweet, but not like, it didn't feel like I had like dry scooped a couple of packs of sugar, but it was very sweet. But like, didn't feel like there was any other like flavor to it. It may have been like unflavored, Yeah, Spanky says, I bought the Scratch prototype non-gel at the Scratch table in Boulder. Oh, so they were selling it. Okay. Love the consistency, but once you open the Boda box, it's only good for a week. Yeah, and like the thing is, with the box, it's not like you can see inside to be like, oh yeah, there's mold in there, I shouldn't eat the rest of this. So you just gotta trust. I mean, I guess when you pour it out, you'll pour it right into your flask, and then you'll see if it's nasty in there or not. But like after like day 4, I was like, I don't know if I should still be eating this, but maybe that's part of the test. I don't know. Like maybe they give it to people and say, yeah, it'll be good for a week and see how long people will let it stretch. It's still in my fridge. I haven't thrown the rest away. There's like a little bit left in there. I don't know. I'm also still trying to figure out when to use the precision fuel and hydration. There's like the regular size gel. Then there's the three banger, right? So there's like three in one, and it has like an applesauce top to it, like the way that kids' applesauce comes now. And then there's an even bigger one that I think is like 9 gels worth in one packet. You know, it's really big, and I'm trying to think of what that would kind of be like. I don't know. There's nothing like that size, and I'm trying to figure out like what day can I use that? Because I was giving Tommy Runs a hard time about it because he kept making Western States prep footage using the triple bag, and I was like, Tommy, you got to call up Precision Fuel and Hydration. Get him to send you the big one. You're going to Western States. You need that big. You need the big one. He's like, I'm working on it. I don't think they ever sent him one though. Yeah. Kenneth says, call your overthinking your age. I trained and raced hard in my 40s, 50s, and early 60s. I know. I maybe I am, but I also feel like I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe it's because I'm doing too many thresholds in 1 week, like James said, like Coach McCurdy said. But yeah, I don't know. I'm working freaking hard, guys. I'm working really hard, but like, the needle's not moving. I'm training in different ways. I guess slightly different way. Not completely. I'm kind of set in my ways, I guess. But I'm trying to change my ways. I'm trying to decrease mileage a little bit. Trying to do more aerobic work on the bike, which has worked well for me previously, and I'm just kind of like, pursuing that a little bit further for this block. The heat is a confounding factor. I've never run very well in heat, and so I'm kind of just trusting the process. I mean, I put out another Berlin Marathon training block video today for week 2, even though we're in this is like week 5, but I had to get the feed to approve it, and it took a little while. So we're on week 2, and I haven't talked about it in the series yet, but the series is called Chasing Ghosts. I'm trying to see if I can run like I did just 3 years ago, which isn't that long ago, but it seems so out of touch. It seems so untouchable. Like right now, my threshold efforts are my marathon pace from when I ran a PB, and I know that that was a PB effort after 4 times and 4 builds that built on each other in a row. And this is not quite that. And it's summertime now, and it's super humid and hot, and that marathon PB was in 40 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's differences for sure, but mentally I'm having a hard time reconciling. Right now marathon pace feels like it's about 7:14 for me, 7:10, which puts me at right around 3:10 marathon pace, a marathon time. And I'd like to get under 3:10. I ran a 3:11, I think, in Valencia, and from Berlin, I'd love to get at least B goal is to beat my last time. First time I was in Berlin, I ran a 3:13. I'd like to beat that. I'd like to beat my Valencia time, and get under 3:10. But really, I mean, I think that if there's any chance of proving that I'm not too old for this, I got to be closer to 3:05. And I'm not seeing it. There's 7 weeks between now and the race, and it is hot, and I am maybe messing things up by overdoing it with some threshold workouts. But my threshold workouts aren't that great, so I don't feel like I'm putting myself in too big a hole. Maybe 2 wrongs make a right. But that's kind of that's how I'm feeling about stuff, Yeah, Andrew in Indianapolis says, that sounds very similar to how my current training block is going. I feel like it should be faster at this point. I know. I mean, here's the thing. On Tuesday, I felt I think I'm rounding the corner of fitness is finally starting to catch on. And then today I was nope, not it, you know. So I don't know. That's where I'm feeling. Casa Pineapple Michael says, hopefully the weather in Berlin won't be like last year. I know it was so hot last year, and I had a conversation with Floberg about it the other day, which you'll see more about. And I told you, I think I told you guys about it, but you'll see, I guess, a little bit more about it in the Berlin Marathon Week 3 training video. But I saw Floberg the other day, and we were chatting because he's going to Berlin as well. And I was like, if I wake up marathon morning and the weather is going to be like it was last year, I think I'm just going to jog it. I'm not going to try and because just knowing how I am in the heat. When I ran it 2 years ago, it was a warm year, but not anything like it was last year, and that definitely affected me because some of the later portions of the Berlin Marathon course do not provide a lot of sun coverage, and that's where it started to get me. Sean Reagan says, how often are you using the bike? I started in April 2 times a week, and it's been a huge help. I am using the bike 2 to 3 times a week right now. I've been using it in lieu of doing like a double easy run. And so when I might have previously like hopped on a treadmill in the afternoon for like 30 or 40 minutes, I'll just hop on the bike for 30 or 40 minutes. By the way, the other day, guys, when was it? Not yesterday, maybe 2 days ago. Do you guys, I started doing some, for the longest time on Zwift, I just like picked like the route and I would just ride, and you'd ride in loops, and I would never be the one of the bikes that has the piece of paper in front of them. You know what I mean? If you guys know on Zwift. But I was like, hey, it was on Tuesday. After Tuesday, I had a threshold workout. I had to cut my cool down really short, and I was short on miles because of time scheduling. And so I was a little short on miles. I was like, you know what? Let's try a workout on the Zwift on the bike. And I did that, and it was supposed to be like a threshold workout on the bike. And I was like, all right, I don't know if I can handle this, but let's see what it's like. And so I'm doing it, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, it's like now this is the threshold portion, and it went from like, easy spinning to like, all right, cranking. And I don't know what happens. I don't know if it's because I have the Wahoo kicker thing, not the one that attaches, like you have to take your back wheel off. I have the one that like your back wheel still stays on and you spin on a thing. I don't know if I'm making sense. The cheap one is what I have. And when it was work time, I thought it would just feel like I was going up a big hill or whatever. It would just make me pedal really hard. But the resistance cranked down so hard, it felt like it was broken. Like I thought I broke the machine, like, and then it like something a part of it was wrong. Cause like it just stopped letting me turn it. And no matter what gear I was in, it was impossibly hard to move the pedals. So I just did not, and I was like, maybe I got the tension on this wrong. So I was adjusting everything in the middle of the workout. And I just didn't like, I was like, no, I think this is just how it is. When it wants you to do threshold power, it just makes it so the thing don't move, and I hate this feeling. So I don't think I'm going to do workouts on the bike anymore. Johnny says, "Are you doing Berlin with a brand Adidas?" Yes, I actually just submitted. Everyone that's going has to make a reel about going, and I've already seen some people, and I don't know if they're going with the same Adidas group or not. Maybe it's with a different group, but people are making like Berlin race announcements, which I'm like, people are running Chicago, people are running Sydney, and they're not doing a similar like thing on Instagram. So I'm like, this must be all part of the same PR campaign or whatever. So yeah, I submitted my draft today, and I think it'll go out next week or something like that at some point. Yeah, DCR Aperture says, do you calibrate the power before you tried? You give me a lot of credit. I don't think I've ever calibrated the power on that thing. Maybe I should do that. I might have done it once when I first bought it, but it's been years since I would have done that. So maybe I need to figure that out. And Soy Run says, my uncle recommends the Schwinn IC3 because it's magnetic and not a mechanical belt. So mine isn't a belt. It's a round cylinder, and the bike tire has friction against the cylinder, and it moves the cylinder. And when I'm just doing a regular ride, when the grade changes, it gets harder and easier, But when I'm doing a workout, it feels like someone's holding it and preventing my wheel from turning, like someone's physically stopping the wheel from turning. And I'm like, this can't possibly be right. I'm stomping on these pedals and I'm barely pushing 180 watts. I don't think that's right. And D0 Aperture says, if I recall correctly, the ones you put your wheel on required to calibrate before you tried. I will try calibrating it. Maybe not today, but maybe I'll get on there today. But I'll calibrate it today and see how that does. And D0 Aperture says, make sure the tire PSI is the same on each ride. Oh, okay. Tony says, thanks, Tony. He says, my trainer is on a drum. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay. Yeah, so I just had a hard time with it. So I think I'm just going to not tell Zwift when I'm doing a workout. Like, I think I might start a workout in Zwift, write down real quick what are all the 2 minutes at this power, 5 minutes at this power, and then turn it off. And then just go for a regular loop around Watopia. And then just do it. I don't know. I'm not super interested in doing workouts on the bike. I did, though, earlier this week. My daughter had to do her long run, and it was on Monday, and she didn't do it in the morning with the rest of the team, so she needed to do it on her own in the afternoon. So she did let me bike pace her, because I had already done my run in the morning, and she didn't tell me that she wanted, because otherwise her long run and my easy run would have been pretty much identical. We could have gone together, but she didn't want to run in the morning for whatever reason, teenager reason. So she did let me, so I rode my bike outside, guys. This is the first time the bike has been ridden outside, I think, since we moved here. Yeah, it might be. I might have ridden it once. Maybe I rode it once, but I don't really remember. But in either event, it's been years since that bike has seen the outdoors, and then I took it outside. And of course, I'm riding that bike at 10 miles an hour. 6 miles an hour, 10-minute miles, 6 miles an hour through the neighborhood. And I got a speaker on it for my daughter who's running, and I'm handing her water bottles and gummy bears every once in a while. And we're just kind of harassing the neighborhood. But that was pretty fun. But that also had me thinking, I don't know, this riding the bike outside thing, maybe it's not so bad. So I kind of liked it. All right, Tony says, you know what? If I'm not mistaken, the workouts on Zwift are based on percentage of FTP. If you haven't done an FTP test, it may be over-calculating. And so if it's at 80%, for example, it isn't actually your 80%. Maybe. I think I need to go through all that and just get it properly set up. And then maybe I'll like it more. Because I do like the idea of the workouts and it just telling me what to do. In running, I don't like to be told what to do that much. I don't think I'm that coachable, to be honest. But on the bike, I don't care. So someone tell me what to do. I feel like I think I could be pretty coachable on a bike, I guess. All right, D0 Aperture says, you know what? Yeah, calibrate and then do an FTP test as a workout. Okay, maybe I'll do that next week because I think I've already wrecked myself for this week overdoing it. All right, should we get to some shoes? These are shoes that... Oh, I put my knife on the other table. From a brand that... I think... I don't think I've actually ever reviewed any of their shoes before. I had some really great conversations with the guys that run this brand. It's a small brand based out of the UK. And I feel like we're all kind of contemporaries because they understood all my Simpsons references when we were on the call, which is rarer and rarer, or more and more rare these days that a Simpson reference gets caught. But all of their shoes that they had at the time when we first met were like, and we put stability in everything, and I'm like, oh, that's the worst thing that I could have heard. So now they've sent a neutral shoe, and I think August 4th was the day that this was available. So I think you can actually buy this now. So I think I can actually give this one a try. It's neutral mid cushion. It's from Hilo. It's the Impact 2. So here it is. It feels lighter than it looks. This looks like it's going to be a heavy, dense shoe, but it actually feels pretty lightweight. Here we go. So what's interesting is, so Hilo started out as like a very like sustainability focused brand, and I don't know if they're pivoting or what. That's where I think this "Run Like the World Depends on It" thing comes from. And so I don't know much about this particular shoe. This is a very striking outsole pattern. I think part of their outsole patterns before were designed to like help with stability, kind of like what Mount Coast did with their road running shoes. I don't know if that's still an objective here. The outsole is called Tread Light. Upside down. Tread Light. And again, it says "Run Like the World Depends on It." It's embossed in the back of the shoe. Smells nice. It doesn't smell nearly as strong as like other shoes do, but still smells like the textiles of a running shoe. Light amount of padding in the heel cup, medium amount of in the tongue. It's light, medium amount of padding in the heel cup, and then a lot of structure in the back. Tony says it's a clean looking shoe. It does look very wearable, and I do like this outsole pattern. Lucas F. Cesario says it's a interesting outsole pattern. I like it. Yeah, Tony says dental plan. Lisa needs braces. I love that one. I think about it a lot whenever I think about my father-in-law, because my father-in-law was a union steward back when he was still working. So every time I think about the fact that my father-in-law was like, I wouldn't say high up in the union, but a leadership position in the union, I think of like dental plan, Lisa needs braces, and my wife and her sisters, they all had braces. I don't think my brother-in-law ever had braces. Maybe I think he did. So I feel like maybe all of the kids over there had braces. So yeah. So that's pretty funny. All right. Let's put this on the scale. I don't know if I'll add it to the shoe sheet right away. But I got the scale here for now. I just don't feel like pulling up the shoe sheet. That's all. All right. This is a nice weight for a daily trainer. 9 ounces on the dot. 256 grams, respectable. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. I don't know what this foam is. It feels firmer than it looks, I will say. It looks like it's going to be like a squishy supercritical EVA, but it's a little bit more dense. I don't know what this is actually going to feel like. I don't know. I might have to like test this out and bring a backup pair of shoes the day I test this out, because I'm not sure about this midsole. Still, like, just with how everything from the brand has been kind of stability oriented, I'm not sure. We'll see. Johnny says the outsole is supposed to shed water more efficiently. Jorma, the developer, came from the car industry, and before that he was at Adidas, as you guys say in the UK. Yeah, and Johnny says the outsole is inspired by car tires. I certainly see the inspiration. Kurt says, will you review the Mountain Coast M1 when it comes out? Or maybe you have and it's coming out later. Which one is the M1? The one that I have is the collab version, the Mountain Coast, the trail shoe. I have the collab with Believe in the Run, and then I have the regular version as well. Is that the M1? No, that's not the M1. That's the H1, right? And the question was about the M1. What is the M1? Let me look that up. Okay. I'm looking at the Mountain Coast. Okay. So it's a trail running shoe, it says here. So I probably won't review it because I'm just not reviewing trail shoes. If they send it to me, I'll run it because I do like what they've been making for the trails. I keep waiting. So like, they sent me the first gen of the Mountain Coast shoes, the R1 and the S1, and like the marketing, kind of what Hilo is doing, was like, we are making a long-lasting shoe, very simple, straightforward, just what you need. And then there's also, we're using elements in the outsole to create stability, especially for ultra road running distances. And I was like, okay, sounds interesting. I like that. It's supposed to help guide my foot as I'm running, and especially when I get fatigued. And then when I ran in it, I'm like, this is just a stability shoe. This is a very clever way of rebranding stability shoes, but this is a stability shoe. And I don't like this. It doesn't feel great to me, and I don't like it. And I told them that, and I was like, it's not for me. Like, if you guys make some stuff that's more neutral, or and maybe you don't want to, and that's fine. I think you could be fine without doing that. Look at Brooks, but this one's not for me, or these two are not for me. And then I hadn't heard from them in a while until Thomas reached out and asked me if I would test the what is the name of it? Is it Open Cell? Something Circle Cell, the Circle Cell foam, and I do like that foam. I like that foam quite a bit. And then I was hoping that the latest road shoe, the C1, would be, everyone was telling me it was going to be like a super blast killer. It has Circle Cell foam in it, but then it also has like a really dense carrier. And I was like, and then I was reading more about it, and I was like, oh, here's that stability language coming back again. So I was like, I don't think anyone asked me if I wanted it. If they did, I think I said, no, thanks. I think I passed on it because I was like, I don't know. And no one has been in my comments like, hey, how come you're not reviewing this one shoe? Which is not usually something that I pay too much attention to. But it does feel validating when I've chosen to not review a shoe, if no one's like, hey, where's this? So I feel like that's how I've been. The M1, I don't, right now on their website, it's just like a silhouette of a shoe. Looks interesting. It says trail shoe with their highest level of energy return. Looks interesting. Maybe they'll send it. I'm not the best trail shoe reviewer. If they want me to run in it and make a reel and put it on Instagram, I can do that. That's what I've been doing with trail shoes that do get sent to me. But a lot of times I just decline trail shoes when people are asking. Unless it's like that Merrell one. I was like, okay, I'll try that. I do love Merrell shoes. Merrell shoes are very popular in Iowa, but also in my household too, because all the girls like them for hiking and stuff. So yeah, so I don't know. Martha says, Mountain Coast are trying to trick you because they know you don't like the stability. Well, they weren't just trying to trick me. I think that they were trying to I think stability shoes has a negative connotation. just like when people say like a shoe is good for walking. I feel like that's a very useful conclusion to draw when it comes to reviewing a shoe. It tells me a lot about what to expect. But I feel like when a lot of people hear that, they're like, oh, then I don't want to be laughed at when I go to the run club, so I'm not going to buy that shoe then. So there's certain things that I think that they're maybe trying to avoid. I also think that they were trying to carve out a special niche for themselves and say, like, we've thought about what ultra runners really need. And instead of saying, like, we made stability shoes because we know that some people like stability and some people, especially ultra marathon runners, want it late into the day. That's one way to do it, but saying, like, we made ultra marathon road shoes. And here's what makes it an ultra marathon. So I feel like it's an interesting way of, I don't think they were just trying to trick me. But maybe I've a little bit unfair. Maybe I'm oversimplifying what they're offering, but to me, it felt like, this just seems like stability shoes repackaged, All right. Roman Burger says, I feel like I'm the lone trail runner who doesn't want more stack height / cushion. Yeah, I mean, I think that like it's interesting to see how I guess there's a couple of things to think about there. It's like, it really depends on what you're running on, of whether like more stack height even makes sense. What shoe did I run in earlier today? I didn't like, not today, this year. Prodigio Max, was it the Prodigio Max, the La Sportiva shoe? That shoe just felt tall for the sake of being tall. And I'm like, it's so firm. Firm makes sense when the terrain is unstable to me. As a person who likes soft shoes on the trails, I can understand why firm shoes exist. You want like claws on your feet, But then they made it a tall stack height shoe that was still firm. And I was like, this doesn't make sense to me anymore. I don't know why I would want this. I don't know what kind of race I would use this for. I don't know what kind of terrain I would use it for. I just didn't understand it. And so like, there's definitely some times where I feel like, I don't know why they made this tall, even though for years I was like, just make everything taller, guys. All right. There's the limit. There's limits, All right, let's try some of this Ardor Energy passion fruit. Am I going to like passion fruit more or black? I think I'm going to like the passion fruit a little bit more. Let's start with the black cherry. These cans are nice. By the way, I had my wife taste some of them. She likes the clementine and the lemon lime, which I also like. But I'm going to try black cherry. Oh, it smells like medicine. All right, that's not bad. Oh, actually, I kind of like this. This is because I do like cherries. I love cherries. But I really thought that this was going to taste like cough medicine. But it does not. I'm still not going to pick it, but we got a couple more of these in the house, so I could drink them. Yeah. Ooh. Interesting. Mike Lucan says, Running Warehouse had an interesting video yesterday. Shoes yield 45 to 50% margin at full retail. Yeah, so they resumed. I don't think this was the first one, but since Connor left, they've continued doing the Mr. Rubio Used to Run podcast. And the subject was Chinese shoes. And I really appreciated Joe Rubio's take on it, because it kind of answered a lot of questions that I had about like, why aren't Li-Ning shoes just available at like, they're making a lot. They make them in the factories where, I don't know if it's the same factories, but they're making them in the same way, in the same kinds of places where Adidas and Asics and Nike are making their shoes. So it's not like they don't know how to scale up and can't make enough, or are unwilling, or maybe they're unwilling to make enough, but I don't know. But like, why are these not at Running Warehouse? Why are they not at Dick's Sporting Goods? If these Chinese shoes, which some of them are very good, but if they're that good and that good of a discount of a deal, why aren't the retailers like clawing over each other to get it? It must not be on the demand side; it must be on the supply side. And my thing has always been like, what are they trying to circumvent? Are they trying to get around IP laws? I used to think it was like a copying thing that they were trying to skirt around, the Skechers style. That doesn't really seem to be the case. Are they trying to skirt around exclusivity provisions in contracts in terms of materials? Like, like maybe someone has the exclusive rights to use Boost, like Adidas, for example. And no one else can use that formula of Boost because the manufacturer of Boost has decided we're going to give you, in exchange for money, exclusive rights to that formulation. And everyone else can have similar-ish ones, but we're not going to let anyone have the same one. Maybe it's that kind of thing. And they're like, well, if we don't sell them in Europe or in the United States, we can sell these kind of like, they're not knockoffs, but they're using proprietary formulations in other countries. I thought maybe that's what it is. I had no reason to think that, so I don't want to put that into a YouTube video, but like that's kind of where my mind goes. Like, why wouldn't you sell it into a market where there's demand? And it doesn't seem like they're like, well, we're waiting to like kind of like we're withholding it from other markets until people start getting excited enough. Then we'll bring it in and there'll be like super high demand for it instead of like, what are these shoes? Well, I'll try them because they're cheap. It's like, no, bring me those Chinese shoes. So I don't know what it was, but on that podcast, and I think that most of the people here would probably enjoy it. But like he's talking about like, the things that I was also concerned about when you're buying it. And I talked about it in the latest video talking about a Li-Ning shoe. Oh, and the Red Hair 9 Ultra review video where it's like, what happens if it doesn't fit? Who do you return it to? Can you return it to? A lot of the places where you buy them on websites in the United States, those are not retailers. Those are service providers, they say. So they're not going to return the shoe. They're not going to accept returns. They're not going to help you make a return. If you're buying it on Amazon, it takes 3 weeks to ship directly from China. Like they're not taking it back, and they were saying yesterday that on the Running Warehouse podcast, that's like the same thing for us as the retailer. Like if we have problems with it, Brooks doesn't want us to send back a defective shoe. Like they don't want to collect it. The shipping's not worth it. It's where they're going to put it. They just give them a markdown or a discount every time they say, hey, we had like 4 defective ones out of the 1,000 that we bought. Can you, give us a markdown or something? Or any other like customer service related things where it's like, if it just doesn't work for the person, maybe they thought based on the ad copy that it would be a great fit for them, but it turns out it feels super firm and uncomfortable and they don't like stability things. Who helps with the return? Normally, apparently with the way that they work, that retailers like Running Warehouse work with brands is that like, that's all part of the way that they have their ongoing relationships where there's like, discounts or tolerances for like, help us out with shoes that don't work or there's returns or a need for exchange, but when you buy the way that the Chinese brands want to operate is like, they don't want to do any of that. They just want to make the shoes and then all the rest of that stuff is on you if you want to deal with any of it. And so I think someone could probably make it happen. Like Ioana's bringing, I should probably ask Ioana. But he's probably bringing in, I'm guessing it's all sales are final. He's not going to handle returns. You know what I mean? And if he does get returns, let's say like 5 of them are defective and people return them because they're like, hey, the glue's wrong on all of these. He's not going to get refunds from Dynafish, is what I'm guessing on the way, I guess all that's just priced into it. And then he's like, normally the manufacturer takes care of duties and tariffs. I guess, but it's not that the case if you want to import those Chinese shoes. So it's like, all those things that like, okay, yeah, these are all the things that I thought that they were, some of the things that I thought that they were maybe trying to avoid, some of the risk shifting that they're trying to put on consumers, basically. That's what, Joe Rubio was saying. But then there's those other things that I'm also concerned about. But, some people are super into it and willing to roll the dice. I still don't feel great about it, Johnny says Joe's like the Yoda of the shoe industry. His pod is a great source of information for shoe nerds. Glad to see the return of the pod. Yeah, he's been around for forever. Not to say that he's old, but he's been around. He's been in the industry for a long time. He's seen everything basically. Yeah, he's got some funny stories. He's got some wild stories too. But I was every time I see him these days. I only see him like at TRE, and I'm like, Joe, why? I was like, Joe, why are you here? He's like, you're not in charge of the buying. He's like, no, I'm not. He's like, I don't really know why I'm here either. I just like to walk around and say hi to everybody. I'm like, pretty much me too. That's the same thing. But yeah. Yeah, Martha says RW can mean Runner's World. I thought that rather than Running Warehouse, which is it? The podcast is from Running Warehouse. I'm sorry if I said Runner's World, but yeah, Running Warehouse. Yeah. And Matthias says, I watched and listened to that podcast this morning. It was a good one. It was a good one to have on. I forget what I was doing, but it was a great one, a conversation to have on in the background. Matthias says, I remember when I worked for the Swoosh, it cost just under $4 to make a dunk. We wholesaled at about $28 and it retails for 80 or 90. That's wild. That's wild. That's a lot of markup. That is a lot of markup. But I guess you got to deal with customer service, selling it, warehousing it, All right. This is the passion fruit. I opened it up and I got like a gush of passion fruit smell. I don't always love passion fruit because I don't know that I've ever had a real passion fruit. Fruit. I wouldn't be able to identify one at the grocery store, I don't think. And so I always feel like the drink that I get or the chewable, like if you get like energy chews or something like that, I always feel like they're making up the flavor, This is really nice, guys. As much as I just kind of ragged on it, this is nice. This flavor is nice. I don't know if I'll drink a whole can. I don't know if I could drink a whole can of this though. But that was refreshing. That's not what I was expecting. Oh, this is good, guys. All right, I think I'm sold on these. I kind of like them all. I didn't want to like them all, but I think I kind of like them all. I did enjoy the thing is, it's like I don't need to make it easier for me to have late afternoon caffeine. And I feel like that's the main thing this will do is make it really easy to have late afternoon caffeine. The other day, I was like, all right, I'm procrastinating a little bit. I grabbed a lemon lime one of these out of the garage fridge and I cracked it open, came downstairs, did a little bit of work. And I was like, this is nice. It's a nice little reward for being productive. But I was like, 100 milligrams of caffeine. Maybe I need like a Sprite instead. But I don't know. I got a lot of work done. But also, my sleep has been pretty atrocious this week. Those two things might be related. Martha says, I'm glad that you, Co, and Ed Bud have declined to review shoes that aren't sold domestically in a straightforward way. Yeah, I think it makes sense to me to be a little bit more cautious when it comes to like someone coming in and being like, look at these things at such a great price. Don't ask why. I feel like that's it. CV76 is it because return policies are more generous here in the United States? Well, that was another thing that Joe Rubio talked about is that like, I think in China where there's like an Anta store or like a Lining store, I think there would be some sort of return policy that it would be possible. Perhaps, but like that's because they want to have that entire, like they want to own the entire stack from manufacturing to like to end consumer, like every step of the way. They want to own it And so like they think they do that, but and I don't necessarily think it's just that return policies are much more generous. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But the customer service aspect, those brands are willing to do in China. They're just not willing to do them here in the United States. And they're saying like, here, you can come pick this up from our warehouse. And it's on you to get it to the United States. It's you to then sell it to your consumers, and you deal with your customer service. If we're not getting the margin on the retail purchase, we're not going to deal with any of the other stuff, you know? So, yeah, I think that's was something that Joe Rubio highlighted. I was like, oh, that's an interesting part. And he was like, you know, once I did the math on it, it didn't make the shoes substantially cheaper to me. If I have to then go deal with all of that, then all those costs get shifted to me. And so I might be able to get them for cheaper. The cost savings don't necessarily translate all that much, which I'm guessing there probably still would be some kind of like Skechers level savings, maybe, where like Skechers is still like, you know, 10 to 20% cheaper than the rest of the competition for comparable shoes, or at least Skechers Performance, or I guess is it called Skechers Running now? Yeah. So there's that. Yeah, you want John H says, Joanna has his app if it's a fit issue, but I get the defective shoes would be a problem. But since he is shipping them from his place, I guess he can inspect them. I guess so. But then that's like basically sweat equity that Joanna is paying. You know what I mean? Whereas like, yeah. So I mean, yeah. I hope that all of the units are perfectly fine, and that he doesn't have any headaches. To me, that sounds like a nightmare. But you guys know how hard it is for me to ship things, you know. Andrew Nenepo says, you know, like I think some reviewers don't quite get that in terms of like the shifting risks to the consumers. And he says they get free shoes to run in and review. However, it's a risk to the rest of us since return policies can be fickle, especially when shoes are going for $200. I agree. Who was I watching this morning? Oh, it's Fresh Brew Run Club. Do you guys watch him? He's growing. It's still a small channel. A guy out of Michigan. And he was talking about how, like, he still likes to do his 300-mile shoe reviews, which I appreciate. And that's how I cut my teeth, is on like after 270 miles reviews. Because he's like, you know, shoes are like $200 for average pair these days. I'm like, wait, $200 for average pair? Maybe not average, but he's like, $200 for a decent pair of shoes these days. I want to make sure you're getting good value from them. And I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, shoes are they're so expensive. I've been trying hard to like really signal to the brands, to the extent that they watch my videos and care what I say, that like these shoes are too expensive. They're just too expensive. Yeah, all right. Johnny says, you know, I always enjoy the soundtracks to your videos. I think we end with this one today. I always enjoy the soundtracks to your videos. Copyright-free music can be pretty bad, but you've obviously got a good source. Do you keep a record of them to avoid repeats? I do. So I keep a list of them on a spreadsheet, in a Google sheet, of which songs I used when. I will sometimes reuse a song. Like if I used it in a review, sometimes I only use like 6 seconds of it, you know. But if there was a second part of it that I hadn't used before that I do really like, I might use it again. Or if it's been like 5 years since I've used it, I might throw it in there again to avoid repeats. But also, I use Epidemic Sound, and it does kind of keep track of which songs you've downloaded. There's usually a little icon with an arrow pointing down if you've downloaded that song before. But after a while, it refreshes, and so sometimes I'll do like a word search, and I'll find, oh, I did use this song. It doesn't say that I've downloaded this track before, but I have. But they also have a heart feature, so you can like songs, and that never goes away. So as I like sample or like listen to a song for a little bit and be like, I think I can use that, I'll hit the heart button and then download it. And then I also keep it as I use music. I keep a listing of it. So that way there's no repeats, except for, the end credits song. Sometimes I will intentionally reuse it. Like I intentionally reuse the song from the intro of my Black Canyon training videos. But that was to create kind of like a cohesion for the series. I didn't think that was all that useful, so I don't think I'll be repeating that. But I did really like that song, so that's mainly the reason why I did it. But yeah, I don't try not to repeat. And John H says, how often do you revisit shoes after the reviews? I try to revisit them a lot, but I have a lot of new shoes that keep coming in that I think need miles in it too. Right now seems to be a little bit of a lull. And so I'm trying to hurry up and get more miles in some of my favorite shoes from this year. Hyperboost Edge, Deviate Pure, Nova Blast 6. Those are all shoes that I run in the last week to get some extra miles in them. And so I try to get to do 100-mile reviews as a follow-up. I don't do 270-mile reviews or even 200-mile reviews anymore, just because there's too many shoes that I'd like to get to. And Mike says, you know what? Hey, they gave away free ACG Ultra Flies at my run club last week, already on sale online. Apparently they're not selling too well. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. Weird. All right. Daryl says, the Hampus Nasalius at the end of your Boston video will always be one of my favorite tracks of his. If I ever run a sub 4 hour marathon, have you seen that front image? That is a good song. That is a good one. Good luck to you, Daryl. Hopefully you get that soon. All right, guys. I went a little long today. Thanks for being patient with me. But I guess once we cracked open those energy drinks, I was all of a sudden a little bit more chatty. So I think I'm going to blame the energy drinks on that one. Next week, we'll have a live stream on Monday, but not Thursday because I'm traveling Thursday to Friday. Quick, like 24 hours away, but I'll be at the airport during live stream time. So next week will just be Monday. But I'll still see you in a couple of days. Over the weekend, watch out for that humidity. It's going to be sneaky. If any of you guys are running Seawees, have a good race. Anyone else racing this weekend? Let me know about it on Monday. I can't wait to hear how it goes. All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.